What's up guys, it's Albel here and welcome back to Star Ocean Anamnesis. So, I am super excited today because yesterday, the official Star Ocean Anamnesis Twitter made an announcement that a powerful new ally is getting ready to join the fight. And in case you don't know, that's 2B right there. So that's the person I've been saving for since the beginning, so I'm really excited to pull for her. Except the only problem is they didn't specify that it's going to be the near collab. They just said one ally is joining, so for all we know, it could only be 2B and then A2 and 9S are joining later, which I am kind of sad about if that happens, but for now we just gotta wait and see. In the meantime, we have some new stuff in the actual game. So another update, and they added a new Temple of Elements, vulnerable to light. So this is pretty much the same thing as the other ones, the vulnerable to lightning and vulnerable to darkness. Basically means you have to use the light element to do damage, and enemies resist every other element. So right here it says recommended characters, Reyna, Miki, Welch. That pretty much means use Reyna and use a light imbuement weapon on any of your other characters. I recommend the Claim Soloists that you can buy from the Transmutation Coin Shop, and then just put that on any one-handed sword user that you have, because that's obviously a lot more useful than using Miki or Welch. So if you have trouble clearing this maze, just do that. And then we have the 10 chain draw sale. So I think this is a first. They're actually giving us half off on some banners. So you have these 3 weapon banners right here. I don't think anyone ever pulls on these, but hey, if you want to do some pulls on these, there you go. They're half off right now, which I think is a complete trap on those banners at least. So don't get tempted by this. And then you also have this one. The character draw is now half off. So once per day, you can do a draw on this for 2,500 gems instead of 5,000 gems. And whether this is good or not really depends on what you need. If you want a bunch of limit break materials and you have gems to spare, then you could do some pulls on this and, you know, get limit break materials that way. But if you don't, or well, if you don't need limit break materials and you don't have a bunch of gems to spend and you're not a whale, then I don't suggest pulling on this. This is complete bait, considering all the stuff that's coming up, like 2B and the Halloween banners coming up pretty soon. So this seems like a complete bait. If you want to pull on it, go right ahead. I can't stop you, but I will say, in the long run, it's not going to be worth it. Sure, you get some extra materials right now, but you know, at the cost of 2,500 gems a day. That's not a fair trade in my opinion. And there's also this, the double beginner support sale. So whenever you make a new account, they have these 2 packs available for 2 days, and it gives a lot of gems, but you know, that's only for new players. And then there's also this. This is another gem set that you can see in the shop. You have to purchase it with actual money, and it gives a bunch of other goodies. So if you want to spend money on the game, then there you go. You can do it on this and get some limit break materials, rainbow crystals that way. Pretty cool. Doesn't really affect me in any way. But let's take a look at the event then. So the Star Ocean 3 event, the Executioner Attacks. Alright, so we have another event shop. You have to farm the event to get some Executioner coins, which you can then exchange for items that you can find in the shop right here. Daikiga Iwato and Faro Caltrops, the War God symbol, and some tickets. So, Daikiga Iwato increases the damage of Unbridled Double Slash by 10%, and that's an attack of one of the new characters that we got with this update. Increases damage dealt to demons and humanoids by 15%, which is a good increase, but it's only specific to those enemies. And attack plus 5%. That's not a large enough increase to actually make a big difference. While I do think this weapon is a little better than some of the other ones that we've gotten in the past, if you want to use this as transmutation fodder, go right ahead, because it's not going to be that beneficial to use it as an actual weapon. And then we have the Faro Caltrops, a 5-star knuckle, which is pretty rare, I guess, and it imbues attacks with fire. Fiery Hammer of Might, plus 15% damage, which is another attack of one of the new characters. and it increases your normal attack AP recovery by 20%. I think this is actually a really good event weapon. Imbues attacks with fire. As you might know, elements on weapons are always the one thing that you want to look for. They're really good, increase your damage, they help with element burst stun, so whenever you see an element on a weapon, definitely go for it. And that second factor is kind of really specific to that one character, which means you're not really going to get much out of it with another character, but that last one, normal attack AP recovery, that's really good. For those of you who've been playing with characters like Claude who have that AP recovery, it makes a gigantic difference. It allows you to do a lot more damage, a lot faster. It also allows you to be like more ready for attacks because you can recover AP so much faster. So this is a really good weapon, and if you're using a Knuckle character, then I definitely suggest trying this one out. So aside from that, you have the achievements. One there gives you the Daikiga Iwato, so you can use that to limit break it if you want to do that, but you know, most likely it's going to be transmutation fodder. And then, ooh, 10,000 coins. That's very nice. Helps with farming. And then we have the boss. So they're weak to ice. Just like Michael from the previous event, so you can stick with the stuff that you've been using, or you could just use one of the newer characters. And it actually has two enemies here, the Proclaimer and the Enforcer. The Proclaimers are just the smaller mobs that you can find in the quest, and the Enforcer is the actual boss enemy. So I think that's it for this. Oh, they also have this, a limited time Star Ocean 3 event set, which contains a 5-star ace character ticket, 5-star weapon ticket, and I think some attacker platinum prisms. Honestly, it's 5,000 gems, by the way. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it, because I don't know, you have to decide for yourself, but just think about 5,000 gems for an ace character ticket. An ace character ticket is very valuable, but I think we're approaching the point where 5,000 gems are a lot more valuable than an ace character ticket, so this pretty much depends on what you need. If you want one of the ace characters that are already in the pool, then you might want to try your luck with this. Buy the set and then use the ticket. Alright, so now let's take a look at one of the new characters. First we have Albel. He decreases defense by 30% of all enemies. He increases attack by 30% for all attackers and defenders. He increases damage dealt by 20% when you attack a single enemy. That only applies to himself. And then he decreases his own AP cost by 20%. And then his weapons, he's got a rush that does 4,000 times his normal attack, and his normal attack stat is actually pretty good, so that rush does a fair bit of damage. It increases his attack by 100%, and it also decreases his own defense by 50%. Alright, so overall he seems to mix DPS and support, which is pretty cool, except there are a bunch of other characters that also do that. But he looks cool. That's what matters. He looks like a badass, so go for it. Pull for him. I want to pull for him, but I'm not going to because, like I said, 2B is appearing pretty soon. His rush is also really powerful. He's got a good attack stat, and then combined with that 4,000% extra damage, makes his rush pretty cool. That post-rush buff that increases his attack by 100% is really nice. Unfortunately, it decreases his defense by 50%, but usually after a rush, you always want to get that element burst stun. When an enemy is element burst stunned, obviously they can't hit you, so that defense down is not gonna matter too much. So very decent all around. The only unfortunate thing is that his attacks don't have some decent multipliers to him. He's got the double slash with a 400 times multiplier, but that's pretty much it. Unfortunate, but he's a really cool character. And then we also have Ilya from Star Ocean 1. So, she increases the party's attack by 30%, she increases damage dealt by 20% when you hit multiple enemies, she decreases her own AP cost by 10%, and she increases the party's damage, fire damage, by 20%. Now, the unfortunate part here is that, well, she does increase attack by 30%. The problem is that she kind of doesn't work too well, or her talents don't work too well with other allies that use attack. So what I mean by that is that that fire damage dealt plus 20%, usually it's invokers that can do fire damage instead of attackers. Obviously now you have the Knuckles that can do fire damage, but I mean, how many characters can actually use that? So for one, she doesn't work too well with a physical party, which means that attack buff right there is probably gonna go to waste. Her second factor that increases damage by 20% when you hit multiple enemies. How often are you fighting multiple enemies in the boss wave? Usually it's just one boss, so that one is pretty much also going to waste. AP cost minus 10%. That's really nice. Can allow her to do some more damage. And that fire buff also allows her to do more damage. She has a fire attack, which means that one also gets a little stronger. But like I said, that doesn't work too well with physical allies. So, kind of unfortunate that she doesn't really fit anywhere in that, like, physical niche. But, look at that art, though. Pretty interesting. And then you have her rush, which 3000%, that's kind of standard. But it does decrease her AP cost by 30%, or, well, the AP cost of all attackers and all invokers by 30%. And there, right there, you can see that she is supposed to work with invokers as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I think. Pull for her if you like, you know, that. And I think that about does it for this update. So, guess we'll see you guys next time. Peace!